Hi.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. That was so easy.
Yeah. No glitches this time.
Oh my gosh. Finally.
Your message was very instructive.
Well, I always, every time, usually I'll just like forward it. I'll change the date and forward like that same message to everyone. But I swear, every week I'm like, no, wait, we learned that this happens. Let me add that in
Yeah.
the thing. Um, so I'm not used to getting people on here this quick. But that's good. Everyone's joining, so there's a good amount of people on here. So just tell everybody your name and kind of where your story begins.
Okay, so my name is Chantal Woods. Lucas is our first son, and he is 3.5 now. So our story started 3.5 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Normal pregnancy, everything was perfect. I wasn't sick. I didn't have any really bad pregnancy side effects. Everything went great. I felt great. All my ultrasounds were great. Nothing came up out of the ordinary. We had no idea that Lucas had Beckwith-Wiedemann syndrome until he was born.
Mm-hmm.
He was born 35 and 6, so about a month early.
Wow.
And he was 9/12.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh my
Going in there, I knew my water had broken. I had been coughing a lot, and I don't know if that's what caused it. But I knew when my water broke because I wasn't coughing and
Yeah.
I was started to leak.
Yeah. You're like, oh no.
Yeah. So we went to the hospital, and they actually said, "No, you should probably just go home on bed rest. It's probably too early. You're fine." And I was like, "No, I don't think so."
No. It's coming.
So yeah, so we went to that was just at our local hospital. So we went to the bigger regional one. It's only 15 minutes away, and you're in labor. So I thought, okay, this is going to be a small baby. Maybe I'll try without the epidural and see what I can do and see where I get to. And
Oh.
then all the nurses and doctors kept coming in and they told me, and you've got a good sized baby in there.
Yeah.
So we got to a point, I wasn't progressing very fast, so they ended up putting me on Pitocin and kind of helping me along. But we got to the point where I couldn't have any more of the IV drugs. So it was epidural or go it on my own. So it's like, well, I think I'll take the epidural.
Yes, please.
So yeah, so I did. I guess I was in labor for technically from when my water broke until so it was around 3:30 one day, and the next day he was born at 1 o'clock in the afternoon.
Oh my gosh.
Not hard labor the whole time, not probably until the morning, but I might have pushed for half an hour, and he got stuck. His
Yeah, I
shoulder,
bet.
yeah, his shoulder got stuck. So there was, I guess, I don't really remember any of this, but there was a nurse on top of me pushing, and
Oh my
there was
god.
yeah, they were about to call for an emergency C-section, and the doctor finally got him out.
Oh, that's so scary.
Yeah, and I didn't realize until a while later, maybe a couple months later, when I was reading the kind of report that we had been discharged with, that he actually wasn't breathing for about a minute and a half when he was born, and I
Oh,
was just so drained that I didn't even realize that part.
yeah.
They did put him on my chest for a second, but then I just kind of whisked him away, and the
Hmm.
doctor knew right there that something was up, just due to his size, really.
Yeah.
So they took him to the NICU, and we got to go see him. He was all hooked up to machines, and we had no idea what was going on. And they took me to my room, and we were actually really fortunate that the doctors there recognized it right away. He did have a large
Yeah.
tongue, but he was so early and so big that they were looking into it pretty closely. So they came in, the neonatologist came in and told us what he suspected. And at that point, we just had Google to go off of. And when you Google that, you get pictures.
Yeah.
And that part was really scary.
Hmm.
So we didn't know what was going on. They sent him for the blood test right away. We were in the NICU for, I think, 18 days. And we knew before we left, we
Yeah.
had the results. He had hypoglycemia. His lungs were underdeveloped, so he was on CPAP.
Oh.
But He did well. He made strides every day. I think it was almost 24 hours before we held him for the first time.
Oh.
Yeah. We went in to see him in the morning, and one of the nurses, like we were just looking at him in the incubator, and one of the nurses came over and said, did you hold him yet? Did you have him out for a cuddle? And I didn't know anything. It's our first baby.
Yeah.
We didn't know that we could take him out or what was wrong with him or
Yeah.
anything. So she said, do you want to take him out? And I just started crying right there.
Yeah,
Of course I want to hold my baby.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I actually got to stay in the hospital the whole time.
Awesome.
I was discharged, but as long as you're a patient or your baby is a patient in the NICU and they have room for you, they would let me stay. So they moved me around a couple times, like out of the mom and baby ward, and I was in a parent room, and then somebody had that booked, so I was in a pediatric room at one point, but they moved me wherever they could to keep me there and close to them, and
Amazing.
because I was trying to breastfeed, and
Yeah.
we supplemented with formula too, just because it was early. He wasn't with me all the time, so my milk was slow to come in.
Right.
But yeah, it was definitely a whirlwind kind of 3 weeks.
Yeah.
When we got the diagnosis, though, I think it helped because we knew what it was.
Mm-hmm.
We knew it was something. The doctors told us that if he had something, this was kind of the one you want.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we dove into the research part of it, I guess, in those first few months. But so much of it is so scary to look at, and you have no idea what's going to happen. And
I know.
but our doctors were great. Like we got sent for scans and blood work and everything right away. I was set up with a pediatrician. He actually came in on the weekend, and we had him Easter weekend. I went into labor Good Friday. So they came in and they explained everything to us really well, and they were I'm just fortunate that they knew what it was.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's not how it is a lot of the times.
Yeah. So yeah, we took him home. He had to go back in for a couple of weight checks because he was losing weight. And I think they readmitted us the first time we had left just for an overnight. But and his sugars, we had to keep watching his sugars because they kept dropping. We had to wake him up to feed him every 2 to 3 hours. So there was no letting him see how long he could sleep for, or we had to do that on schedule. And we weren't sure if he was eating enough, so we were always supplementing with formula as well. So we supplemented with formula for a long time, and we checked his sugars for about 2 months.
Okay.
Until they finally started to normalize on their own, which would be about a month corrected. So
yeah,
that's what they say is past the first month, they don't usually, I think it's 5% have problems with blood sugar after that.
Yeah, it's not that.
It's a statistic I read, yeah. But yeah, so he did well after that. I nursed until 5 months. And then at that point, he was nursing for anywhere from half an hour to an hour.
I was going to say, you're probably doing that all day.
Yeah, and then he was taking 6 ounces of formula.
Yeah.
So I don't know how much he was getting from me, or if he was just really needed, I don't know, maybe 12 to 14 ounces of feeding. But I have no idea. But we decided that was taking up way too much time, and we went to formula, and that's when he started really gaining weight. So I feel bad now because I think he was really hungry for the first 5 months.
Yeah, but I mean, how would you know?
Yeah,
I mean,
he was about 16 pounds at 5 months, and then at 6 months he was 23 pounds.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, so it took a big jump.
Were they like, oh my gosh? Well, I mean, they knew at the pediatrician's office.
Yeah,
that's a huge jump.
Yeah, so and then he kept gaining like that for a while, so they did end up checking his thyroid. So he has hypothyroidism too.
Oh, okay.
So we went on medication for that, and I'd say it probably took 6 months to kind of slow down the weight gain. But by the time he was a year, he was 37 pounds.
Yeah.
And 18 months, he was 43 pounds.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and before he turned 2, he was 52 pounds.
Oh my God. Yeah, see, they just grow and grow and grow.
Yeah. Yeah, but he wasn't really getting taller. He was so round when he turned 2 and short. And then at
Oh,
2, he just sort of shot up.
really?
And he didn't gain a pound for a year and a half. And he just gained inches.
That's so funny.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Wow.
he's really slimmed out. And everybody comments on it now, how slim he is compared to what he was. Yeah.
Oh, that's so cute.
Yeah. But he's never had any problems other than the hypothyroidism. Um, all of our scans and blood work have always been normal.
That's fabulous.
Yeah, so that part, we've been very fortunate that both our boys have been happy and healthy and doing good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does he have any, so is his tongue fine? They don't recommend fixing it or anything like that?
No, we are going to.
Okay.
They've wanted us to wait. Our doctors are kind of leaning towards the longer we wait, the less likely he is to have it done twice.
Right.
And it wasn't causing, they looked at him and they said, obviously it's not causing any eating issues.
Yeah, he's fine.
Yeah. So breathing and eating. He does snore. So we've seen respirology for that. And they're just kind of watching him. I know he wouldn't sleep for a sleep study at this point. So
They're miserable.
yeah.
Oh my God, they're the worst things ever.
And at 3.5 and 56
Yeah.
pounds with an attitude, no.
No. Does he have the attitude?
He has it. Oh yeah.
God. They all have it, I
Yeah.
swear.
Yeah. So does his brother. Yeah.
Oh my God. And his brother doesn't have BWS.
Yes, he does.
Oh, they both
They both do. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. So yeah, when Lucas was born, we went through the genetic testing. They said he had a rare type. He had a deletion in his DNA that
Okay.
was just upstream of the H19 gene, and so that's what caused the disruption in methylation. So they have the hypomethylation,
Okay.
hyper gain of methylation at IC2,
Okay.
or
So
no,
is
I'm
that
getting
the
this confused.
like genetic like the genetic one? I always forget.
No, this is a different one. So this is the highest category, the highest risk category. So
For
yeah,
cancer.
gain of methylation at IC1, I think is what theirs
Yeah,
is.
I think it's that one, and then UPD is right under that.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's the one I want to have.
Yeah, so this deletion is what caused theirs. So we went through testing, me and my husband, and it turns out that I also carry the deletion.
Wow.
But when it's passed down from a mother to a child, that's when it's expressed. So we went back further and we knew that I didn't have it, so I probably didn't get it from my mother, because if she had given me the deletion, I would have had BWS.
Wow.
So we knew it was my father. So we tested my father. He carries the deletion as well.
Oh my gosh.
But when it's passed down from a father to a child, it doesn't cause any genetic disruption or anything like that.
So it's only expressed when it's passed from a mother to the child.
To child. Yeah.
Wow.
So we can't go back any further because both of his parents are gone. He's had 2 of his 4 brothers and sisters tested, and nobody else carries the deletion. So it's very possible that it was sporadic in my dad, spontaneous in my dad. That's where it started. But
Interesting.
there's no way to know that.
So
Nobody else in the family is ever
interesting.
that we know of.
So if you were to have any more kids, is that they would all have it?
Or? No, 50-50 chance.
Wow.
Yeah. So we knew it was 50-50 when we decided to have a second baby.
Right.
We were prepared to go through amnio or CVS to see early on what we were dealing with. Mm-hmm. I had a really good genetic counselor. She would call me maybe every 3 to 6 months, just to talk with us, see how Lucas was doing, because she knew that we had considered more kids. Right. So she wanted to touch base, and she said to reach out anytime that we felt we were ready, or if we had any questions, or if we wanted to get that testing started if we were pregnant. Mm-hmm. So we did that. We got pregnant. We went for the testing at 12 weeks, I think it was, or closer to 13 weeks, I think. And I got the call saying that, yeah, he carries the deletion. They couldn't say definitely he has BWS. It was too early for that. Right. But they knew he had the deletion. So they were, 99% sure that that's what the cause was.
Was that hard for you to hear that, or?
It was. We had only told a few people that we were pregnant, just close family and friends, and we were telling everybody not to get excited because we weren't sure what that meant. We weren't sure if we were going to continue the pregnancy. We couldn't make that decision until we knew all the facts.
Right.
So we found out, and so when I started telling people that the baby had the deletion as well, everybody was apologetic and sorry, and they felt bad, and of course they were offering their condolences.
Yeah.
But it got to a point where I started hearing, "I'm so sorry, he's going to be just like Lucas." No, they weren't saying that, but that's what it started sounding like to me.
Yeah.
So and that, I guess, kind of made me second guess everything. But it's such a broad spectrum disorder that you don't know what you're going to get.
Yeah.
So we struggled with the decision to bring a baby to term that was going to have complications or that would have a really hard life, and how was that fair to the baby for us to decide that? And it was hard. But he's exactly, symptom-wise, minus the hypothyroidism, he's exactly like his brother.
Wow. That's cool, though. I mean, that I've never heard of your situation where you can go back.
They tell me it's pretty rare.
Yeah, I've never heard of that. That's why I'm like, oh my gosh, wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, so they both have it, so at least they're going to have each other.
Yeah.
That's the way we look at it too. No one's going to know better what they're going through than each other.
Yeah.
So Parker was born a week later than Lucas, so he made it to 36 and 5.
Wow.
He was still 9'9".
Oh my God.
They told me I was going for lots of ultrasounds, like weekly ultrasounds at that point, to see how big he was, because we were trying to keep him in there as long as possible, but we didn't want him to get too big.
Right.
So, and same thing, normal pregnancy, no issues. And the only thing I had with both pregnancies was headaches.
Yeah.
But other than that, I wasn't sick. I wasn't.
Were you not very big, like when you were pregnant? Were you?
No,
normal? I hate like normal size, but I was huge.
No, I wasn't. I mean, everybody said I had a really hard belly for having like a month left to go, but I wasn't. I didn't gain a lot of weight either. I gained 16 pounds with Lucas and 10 with Parker.
Oh my gosh, and they were the majority of the weight. Oh my gosh. Wow.
Yeah, so Parker was born. He didn't even have to go to the NICU. I was scheduled to be induced, or scheduled to have the appointment to talk about induction on Monday, and he was born. I went into labor. My water broke at like 11:30 Friday night. So I had already had the 2 steroid injections that week to mature his lungs.
Yeah.
Because that was part of the problem with Lucas, is that his lungs were underdeveloped. So we knew that was a real possibility to have him early.
Yeah.
And again, I went almost 37 weeks. So they really considered him term. The NICU came in, those doctors, they checked him out twice. They said everything was fine. I could take him to my room. He could stay with me, which was completely new to me, even though it was my second baby.
Yeah.
I didn't get to take care of my brand new newborn the first time. Both pregnancies were great. We wouldn't have, I don't even know if we would have known that Parker had it.
Really?
He was big, but he didn't look as big as Lucas. He doesn't have as big of a tongue. I'm not sure if he'll need a tongue reduction at all.
Okay.
He doesn't snore. You don't hear him breathe. Like it's definitely out, and it may have gotten bigger since he's been born, but I'm not sure anybody would have picked up on it.
What's the age difference between them?
23 months.
Oh, so that's cool. They're close.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh. Now, do you have so how big is Parker now?
36 pounds.
And he's how old?
He'll be 18 months on Monday.
Oh, okay. Or
Saturday, sorry.
Him and Owen are basically the same size.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And smaller than Lucas was.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine. I don't even know how you carried. He was 50 something pounds at 2 years old.
52. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So I'm sure that you probably were dealing with people saying, "Oh, he's not. There's no way he's 2."
Oh yeah, all the time. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So how
And
did
now,
you?
especially now, he's like 3 feet 7 inches tall now, and
And
he's
he.
3.5. Not even 3.5.
So how do you combat that? Like, I've been taking the boys to the pool, and Owen. I mean, the lady asked me every time, and I'm like, "Listen, lady, he did not. He did not age a year and a half since yesterday."
You'd think she'd remember.
Like, but like she'll just keep asking me. I'm like, all right, I'm trying to be polite, but now I'm starting to get annoyed. So
Because
how do
was there
you?
an age limit, like a
Yeah,
price?
because
Yeah.
you have to pay for a tag for them when they're 3.
Hmm.
Well, he's
Okay.
1.5. So, but she
Yeah.
asked me every time, and I'm like, I was just here yesterday. Like, oh my god.
Yeah, we definitely deal with that. We actually just came back from vacation.
Mm.
So where we were, like water slides and amusement park, and so this is all by height. So we have to pay for like a kid size because of his height.
Oh man.
Yeah, and I mean, he can go on a lot of things that other kids his age can't, but he's still 3.5. He's still scared of that stuff.
Yeah, yeah. He probably doesn't
So
even want to go on it.
yeah,
Oh.
like the big water slides and stuff. He was big enough, but he's 3.5. Yeah,
Oh. How do they do with their scans? Are they
terrible.
terrible? Okay. So it doesn't get better.
The ultrasounds are getting better for Lucas now.
Okay.
Um, but I mean, they don't hurt. Like we take our phone or something and let him watch videos or something to distract him. They just don't like being held down. They never have. Both of them are the same way. Blood work, they always have trouble finding their veins. So they always have to poke around a couple times and like try back and forth with the different arms. And
And then make them mad.
yeah, they have good staff. We go up to the pediatric wing at our local hospital, and they know us there. They put us in a room, and they take notes on which arm, the inside, outside vein,
That's good.
the nurse that got it, the everything they keep track of. So we're getting better.
Yeah.
And there's been a couple times that it's been fine, and Parker's getting hard now though.
Yeah.
This is the last one was really bad for him.
Oh.
And it gets to a point like around now that I can't physically hold them. Like it has to be my husband that holds them.
Right. I know. We had one time we had Owen at his pulmonology appointment. So like he wasn't even being held down for anything at
Mm-hmm.
all. And luckily my husband was there, but my husband was holding him and he literally like almost leapt out of his arms and the
Yeah.
pulmonologist like yelled. He was like, "Oh my god!" Because my husband almost dropped him, and I was like, "I don't know what to do with him. Like, I don't think you understand." And then like he'll give people a high five, and immediately people are like, "Oh my god, he's really strong." I'm like, I know.
They are incredibly strong.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
they move things they shouldn't be able to move.
Yeah.
They pick up things they shouldn't be able to pick up. Like, there are things that I always felt like, okay, because I already have I already have a 4.5-year-old
Mm-hmm.
that I'm like one step ahead. I never feel that way with Owen ever. Like the other day at the pool, he had a lawn chair like over his head.
Well, that's the thing. They throw the tantrums of a 1.5-year-old or a 3-year-old or whatever, but they
Right.
can hold chairs.
Yeah, that's the thing. I'm like, I didn't realize I needed to be prepared for that.
Yeah.
How are they with their tantrums? That's my biggest struggle right now with Owen is that I'm trying to figure out how to manage that.
They're more of the. I mean, if you try to pick them up, they'll fight you.
Mm-hmm.
But they're more of just the scream type
Okay.
tantrums. Yeah, which are just awful.
Do they hit?
Parker will just throw himself on the floor.
Yeah.
No, they're not. They don't. They haven't really gotten into the hitting part.
That's
I
awesome.
mean, like I said, if you're trying to restrain them, they will push away and
Yeah,
stuff, but not really in anger.
that's good.
Yeah.
Owen he just hits all the time. I'm like, oh god, I'm so nervous. Like we had
And yeah, Parker's in the stage where like he thinks it's funny,
mm,
not during a tantrum, but where he thinks it's funny and he's playing. But
yeah, but for them playing, it's like really hard.
yeah, luckily his brother's big enough that he can
Oh my
take
gosh,
it.
yeah. Oh, that's such a cool dynamic though that they both like
Yeah.
because I feel bad. do. I feel bad for Michael because Owen beats on him, and I just am like, Michael, you just got to figure it out. He's like,
And it won't
I
be long
can't.
before he's bigger than him.
Yeah, I mean, he's not even. I think Owen is 2'10", and Michael is 3'6" or something. Like he's not even
Yeah.
a foot taller than him, and they're 3 years apart.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and Lucas is 3.5, and he'd be taller than Michael.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy. Do they have any issues with like uneven like hemihypertrophy or anything?
They do have a slight difference. Nothing that we've
Okay.
needed like different size shoes for or anything like that.
Oh no.
No.
Okay, that's good.
You can notice it. Like one shoe is definitely tighter. I think it's maybe a little more pronounced on Parker. But Lucas's right side is bigger and Parker's left side is bigger.
Oh, that's funny. Oh.
So they couldn't even have the same type of shoes if we had to do.
Yeah.
They would be opposite.
Have you had any issues with like insurance or anything like that? Because a lot of people say they do. You know?
Not in Canada.
Oh yeah, you're in Canada. That's good.
Yeah, that part really scares me for you guys.
Yeah,
All the stories that I see, and we don't have to deal with any of that.
that's good.
No, there's no talking to them. Everything is covered um, by like the government health plan until
Yeah,
18.
that's great.
Yeah. Yeah, no, there's no fighting for anything. We looked into the disability
Mm-hmm.
thing for Lucas when he was younger, but there's nothing really day to day that we do that they say qualifies.
Yeah,
So day to day, everything's normal. It's just the every 3 months something is a little bit harder.
right.
Our children's hospital is about 4.5, 5 hours from here.
Wow.
But I grew
That's
up there, so we're there often. I mean, we travel there maybe once a month anyway.
okay.
So it's not a far drive for us. We're used to
Okay.
it.
So that's where you take them for their scans.
No, we do their scans locally,
Oh,
but we
good.
just go. Yeah, we just go to the children's hospital once a year,
Okay.
just for the craniofacial team to check them out. So we see the plastic surgeons and ENT and a pediatrician and nutritionist and
Yeah.
respirology and the pediatric dentist, and that's a hard day because they pack all of that into one day.
Yeah, that's long.
So by the end of the appointments, the kids are
They're falling apart.
nightmares.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh my gosh.
Lucas has developed an open bite, though. That's one thing we're dealing with right now.
Okay.
I don't know if it's partly to do with his tongue or not, because he was on a soother for a long time. We had a
Okay.
hard time getting that from him.
Really?
So we're only about a month completely off of it now. He was off of it for most of the day, like just to go to sleep for a long time, but completely off of it now for about a month because the dentists almost won't. It's like they won't even talk to us about his tongue until we get rid of the soother.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Well, dentists just hate soothers, I think.
Yeah, they're like,
Right.
get away.
So, yeah.
Well, that's good that so he didn't have any issues taking one then, or did you have to like trial and error?
We held it in for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
They started in the NICU calming him down with it, so he got used to that there. I mean, it didn't take long.
Yeah.
But we also were told because of his hypoglycemia not to let him cry or get upset because that would drop his sugars.
Oh yeah.
So we used that as a calming technique, and that just kind of carried into
Right.
the rest of the next 3 years.
Yeah.
So we should have done it a lot sooner, but he was very attached to his blanket and his soother.
Oh.
But now that we've gotten rid of the soother, he wants nothing to do with the blanket anymore.
Oh, that's so interesting.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm done with it.
Yeah.
Are they giving you an idea of how the tongue surgery will be for him? Like what his
So
pay will be?
They've told us the keyhole procedure.
Okay.
Is what they had said originally. I don't know if they do the other one, but they had talked about the keyhole. And they want to do it before he goes to school, so that he has time to recover and get through it and not have to deal with that after he goes to school.
Yeah.
We did speech therapy. We only just stopped that a couple months ago because he was a late talker. And we did a little bit of sign language to make it easier for him, just kind of the basics like milk and
Yeah.
please and thank you and open and things like that,
Yeah.
which you picked up on really quickly. So our speech therapist actually really encouraged that because it calms them down enough to try to say things rather than getting frustrated.
Yeah.
So she was really good, and she said anything that we do going further now will be to work around his tongue, and if he's going to get the surgery, then we may as well wait until after and correct everything then.
Right.
I mean, he still has the normal toddler missing letters like L's and things like that. So, but nobody has any trouble understanding him anymore.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, and he, like today, he did not stop talking all day.
You're like, oh my goodness.
Yeah. We wished for this.
Yeah. Oh. Will he be in the hospital for a while, or will he go home? Or, because I know that it's different everywhere.
I know we haven't gotten that far into the conversation. But like I said, it'll be at our children's hospital. But my whole family's there. So we have lots of support there, and we always stay with my parents. We don't have to ever get hotels or anything like that. Or
that's nice.
Yeah. So yeah, it's definitely nice to have that support, and Parker will be able to stay there while we're with Lucas, and so it's good that way.
Do they do either of the boys, like, are they at the point? Well, not your younger one, but your older one? Is he at the point where he kind of is starting to like realize what's going on yet, or no?
I don't think so.
No.
He talks about like when other kids get big like him, but like the kids that are the same age. So I don't know if he's talking about age or if he's talking about size. It's hard to tell.
That's so funny you just said that, because the other day I was talking to, but it was like reversed. It was Michael was like, no, Owen's my age. And I was like, no, Michael, Owen is not your age. Oh, that's why, because they were fighting. And Michael was like, he's old enough to know, Mom. He's old enough to know. And I was like, no, he's not, though, Michael. He's really not. Your brother's a baby. He was like, he's not a baby. He's my age. I'm like, he's really not your age.
But I mean, like, Lucas has no real other babies to compare to, I guess. His brother's always been that big.
Yeah.
So, but Parker was bigger. We thought Parker was going to be bigger than Lucas because he was for most of his first year. But he slowed down gaining weight a lot quicker than Lucas did. And we've had him tested for the thyroid, and his is fine.
Wow.
Yeah. So he's smaller now.
What did you do when they start? Because I have a bad back, and I'm getting to the point where I'm like, I really can't really lift him, and he's really not as big as I know he's going to be. Like, did you just eventually just stop holding him, or?
No, he still asks, and lately I don't know what it's been, but lately he's wanting to be up all the time now.
Oh.
And that Lucas.
Oh. And that's hard because they're still at the age where like they want to be held, and
Yeah, I'm like, I can carry you for a few minutes, but then we have to sit down. You can sit in my lap.
Oh. Oh.
But I mean, I was pregnant, and God. he was 52 pounds when I was 8 months pregnant.
I didn't even think of that.
So and we've always put them to sleep. We've always rocked them to sleep. So it got to the point where he didn't even fit on my lap in the rocking chair. So we just had to lay in bed with him to put him to sleep.
Oh my gosh. Oh.
But my doctor, I remember my doctor telling me that, he's like, you're not still lifting him, right?
Well, I mean,
I'm a stay-at-home mom. My husband works. He's a year and a half old. Yes, I'm lifting him.
Yeah, like, what are you supposed to do with him?
Yeah.
And what did they say?
I have to lift him to put him in the crib because those drop-sided cribs are illegal now.
Yeah, not like, that's what I said to my husband. I'm like, what are we going to do when he can't not be in a crib? Like, he's not at the age where he can, he's not going to lay down in a bed and go to bed.
Yeah.
Like, he has to stay in a crib right now. But same thing, it's like all the way, we had to put the mattress all the way at the ground because he's so tall.
Yep.
Oh my God.
And Lucas was 2.5 when we moved him to a bed.
That's good. He stayed in there for a decent amount of time.
Yeah, but he was never comfortable in the crib, I don't think.
No.
Like the crib mattress.
Oh.
I don't think is meant to support that much.
No. I even look at Owen now when he's in the crib, like sprawled out, and I'm like, he doesn't really fit in there.
Yeah.
Like if
Or a
he curls,
playpen.
yeah, I'm like, if he curls up, he's fine, but that's a little too small for him. Oh
Yeah.
my God. That's awesome, though. Your story's really cool. I mean, it probably was super overwhelming for you, but
Yeah. Now we met with the geneticist back in May, and it was a different one than we had been seeing, and he was commenting on that it's our family's a rare one, so he's interested in following us, and they asked us if we had any. We don't really need to see genetics anymore because we know
right.
what it is and what the plan is, but they asked if they could call us every couple of years just for an update on the kids, and
That's
like they
awesome.
wanted us to take a picture of the kids and
Yeah.
yeah, just to put in the file and see how they're doing. And
So as far as you know, there's no one that, other than your kids, that exhibited like BWS from the gene. As far
in
as
my family, no, yeah.
wow. So just
No, so that, like we said, it could have been just some deletion that started with my dad, and my brother and sister don't have kids, but they haven't been tested yet. I think maybe if they decide to have kids,
they'll
they'll
get
get
tested.
tested.
Yeah.
But I mean, it doesn't really mean anything to them if they don't have kids.
Right. Yeah.
And so that's the funny thing too is even though they have BWS, when if they have kids, they won't pass it on to their kids because they're boys
Boys.
and it's not passed paternally. So it's not expressed paternally. So they have the same chance of passing it that I did. So they could pass the deletion. And if they had sons, they could pass the deletion and pass the deletion. Then it would never express BWS until somebody had a daughter who then had children who had the
Wow.
deletion.
That is so
Yeah.
wild.
Yeah, that was kind of the way it was explained to us. So even my brother, even if he has the deletion, his kids won't have BWS, but his grandkids could.
If they're girls. Or
If he has a daughter who has
kids.
kids. Yeah.
Wow. I love
So
these.
it's
I
yeah,
learn something
it's a little
new every
complicated.
single time. I mean, I never even knew that was a possibility.
Yeah, apparently it is.
Wow.
And the geneticist said too that deletion has been known to cause BWS. That's why they were certain that Parker had it when I had the CVS done.
Wow. So did they tell
So
you
there must be at least another case.
how many BWS babies that they've seen? Because that's pretty awesome that they were on top of it as soon as your son was born.
In our hospital locally where I had Lucas, they hadn't. The doctor had been a doctor for 30 years or something and never seen it here. But yeah, so he just knew. I guess he just knew of it. There are a couple cases near our children's hospital. There's a set of twins that I've actually connected with. They're about the same age as Lucas. We haven't done a meetup. I don't know why. We just never.
Yeah.
We never ended up doing that, but we have had a couple conversations over Facebook, and
that's cool.
I know her twins are doing great, and they're identical, so they both have it. But now I'm seeing some of the research is saying even if they're identical, they don't both have to have it. I saw that come out from the conference.
Yeah, there's all sorts of things that they're finding out. It's wild.
Yeah, yeah. So I joined the registry for CHOP.
Awesome.
But I never heard anything. Do you hear anything back from it? Do you get
Did you fill out paperwork?
Well, I didn't do the paperwork. I did the online. You can fill out online to do it. So I did that part, but
I'll have to double check.
I did have a conversation with Dr. Kalish.
Good.
We had do we have a phone call or video? I think it was just a phone call. But this was back when I didn't understand even what type they had. So I thought Lucas had the loss of methylation at IC2. Mm-hmm. So the more common low risk one.
Right.
But then I realized that that's not what he has.
That's just Amber alerted. So did she, what was her take on everything?
I was just kind of wanted an opinion about the tongue because our doctors kept saying, wait, and it didn't look any smaller, if not bigger, than some of the kids that I was seeing from the States that were having it or overseas. So I was just curious what complications that could cause if we didn't get it done early.
Right.
And he's got that open bite, and I don't know if he's moving his jaw, if he's going to need jaw surgery later because we didn't do it soon enough. But
Yeah.
we're kind of at the mercy of the doctors here.
It's hard. It's a hard decision to make because Owens has grown,
Yeah,
which sucks.
yeah, if I didn't know, I wouldn't have assumed that he had had one.
I know. And
Yeah,
that was my fear, but he had to have it because his
yeah.
airway was obstructed. So it was kind of like, and his, I mean, oh my gosh, we didn't even know what his lower lip looked like. Like we had, I mean, it was this whole, it was huge. But
Yeah.
yeah, even now, I mean, I think he'll probably need another one, which I am just gonna have to brace myself for that because
Yeah.
I mean, he was pretty, I don't know if because he was little and he was used to being at home, and then like when they're that little, you can't really reason with them. But I mean, he was nasally intubated because he was so little, and it took forever for him to even let me near his nose. Like,
Oh, yeah.
oh my God, I would try and like wipe a booger, and it was like the end of the world.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, oh boy, we might be in for a treat if we have
Yeah,
to
like
do this again.
they hold on to things for a long time.
Oh my gosh, that months we couldn't go, we couldn't boogie suck his nose, nothing like without. We would need an extra person.
Yeah. Lucas had hand, foot, and mouth.
Oh gosh.
He had it twice.
Oh.
The first time he had it really bad, but his hands, I think, got it the worst. I think they were really sore.
Oh.
And for a long time, he couldn't touch his hands. He wouldn't let anybody hold his hand or touch his hand, or he would just pull his hands away.
Oh, poor thing.
Yeah.
Oh. So, how are they? How do you go about like? Do you decide to tell people? Like, are they in school yet at all?
No.
Okay.
So I stay home with them, so they're not in daycare or anything.
Okay.
I don't not tell people.
Right.
If it's just like somebody walking by makes a comment, I don't like yell it out to the crowd or anything. But
Right.
if I'm having a conversation with somebody about like how tall he is or something, or I'll explain that he has a genetic overgrowth syndrome.
Yeah.
Sometimes I don't get into what it's called or,
Right.
but I say that part, and then they start talking about how they know a person who had a big baby, and oh, some babies are just big, and
You're like, no,
no, it's a genetic thing. Like it's we had a test.
it is a different level of big over here.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, but he looks fine, and he's healthy, and he's happy, and you'd never know anything was, but
Yeah.
but he's big.
Do you get any like insensitive comments from strangers or anything like that, or are people usually pretty good?
I remember this one man. We were sitting in a coffee shop, and this was before Lucas got really tall, so he was more round, and he was chunky. Like he has got a super round face that he hasn't lost, and he's got the big cheeks. But it was an older gentleman, and he commented that something about how much he eats or something to that effect, and how big he was, and it's got to be hard on his knees, and it's got to be hard on his heart, and everything's big. He's not just fat, like.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. But I mean, at that point, I didn't bother explaining it. I just
you're like people that are like that. That's not even worth.
And at that point, the only thing he was on purees. Like I made his baby food, and he didn't do well with textures, so he was on purees for a long time until maybe close to 18 months. Yeah. And so he was eating pureed vegetables. That's it.
Yeah, you're like, I'm feeding him healthy
and like
stuff.
and a little bit of meat. Like he didn't, and I was so concerned with not knowing how it was going to develop, especially where he was so big so early, that I was really strict with sugar and sweets and candy and treats and stuff like that. So, I mean, to a fault sometimes, like people would get, I think, kind of annoyed with me, family and stuff. But we didn't know how, and I'm a lot more lenient with Parker just because we've seen what it looks like later on now. So
right. Well, it's hard when you don't know and you're kind of just like waiting. I mean,
yeah, and it's my responsibility to keep him healthy.
Exactly. Yeah. It's hard to, like, I find it difficult to take Owen places, not just because of his size, but just because I'm like, I need to have the food situation assessed. Like, like, are we going to a place that has food? Like, or do I need to pack a bag?
Yeah, we always have snacks. We always have food. We always have peanut butter sandwiches.
Oh my gosh, it's like a whole different level. And like, even today I had him at my friend's house, and my husband forgot to pack snacks in the bag. And I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna kill him. Because he just kept going for the bag, going for the bag. I'm like, and he ate everything that was left in there.
Yeah.
And there was not enough. I'm like, I never pack enough for this child ever.
Now, Parker's like that right now, but Lucas has turned into the typical toddler picky eater.
Really?
Refusing to eat sometimes. Oh, yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
So would you say his hunger has slowed down a little bit?
I definitely, yeah.
Oh,
I mean, he would snack all day, but when it comes to meals, he's pushing back.
Oh, all right. That gives me a little bit of hope. I'm like, this kid, it never stops. I'm like, I'm going to need 4 jobs.
That's what I said. Yeah, they're going to need to get jobs when they're teenagers to pay for their own grocery bill.
Yeah.
They're going to have 2 of them. Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. Well, I really appreciate you coming on because your story is so cool. I mean, probably overwhelming for sure to have 2 in the same boat, but I mean.
And I've seen families that have more than one, but I'm not sure the cause if they've gone through the genetic testing to find out where it comes from, or
I never even knew that,
or if it's mostly in the in vitro side of it.
Yeah, I knew that there was a side of it in vitro that happens way more often, which I still don't really have how that happens. I don't have my mind wrapped around that.
No, I haven't really looked into that part.
Because I always thought it would be less of a chance because with in vitro, can't they, I don't know. I thought that they could isolate certain things.
Well, they can, but if you don't know ahead of time, then you're not looking for it. The last segment that I watched, you were talking, or maybe it was a couple ago, about the testing, like the prenatal testing that you do.
Oh, right.
Same thing. Nothing. It's not tested for with us. Same as everywhere, I guess. But the normal screenings for I guess Down syndrome and other things, it's BWS is not one that they check for.
So the second time with your second son, the only reason why they specifically checked was because they knew your gene situation.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So they were looking for that deletion. Yeah. Yeah. The methylation wasn't far enough along to tell if it was going to be affected, because I guess that's kind of like a stacking system where it develops over time. Wow. But they knew the deletion was there and it was going to cause a disruption in the methylation.
So crazy.
Yeah.
Wild. Well, thank you so much for coming on and
thanks for having me.
Story. Yeah, that was awesome. I hope that a lot of people are on here watching, so I hope that they learned as much as I did, because
I was happy to share that part of it. Yeah.
Yeah, that was Robin said hi. Someone said they want to move to Canada. Because
I don't want to move to the States.
Yeah, because of all the healthcare.
Yeah.
We're lucky we don't have a lot of issues, because in Pennsylvania, they have like a loophole in their insurance where it doesn't matter, like for state insurance, it doesn't matter what you make. It goes based on what your child has, if it's like a lifelong condition. Right. But apparently, not a lot of states have that. So
yeah, 17 years. We definitely feel really lucky for that part.
That's how I feel. I'm like, oh my gosh, I could be, in another state like an hour away and be in a totally different situation. So.
I can ask my doctor to test for anything. Like if I am concerned that their iron is low or something, she just adds it onto the form, and like it's all checked at the same time. And
do you have to wait really long for appointments or anything, or not really?
No, we just schedule them in. We go see the pediatrician every 3 months with our scans. So we do the scans and blood work a week before, and then she gives us the results when we're there, or she calls if they come in. Wow. I mean, I was called the same day. One day, her secretary gave us a call and told us that everything was fine. And their AFPs are down. I think Parker's is down in the teens, and Lucas's is virtually non-existent. It's like 5 or something now.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, and his started at 250,000 when he was born.
Wow. Yeah. It's wild.
Yeah. Never gone back up. Never had any issues, though.
Good. That's awesome. My other question, my last question before I let you go. Do you take the boys together? Do you do their scans in the same day, or do you?
We do, yeah.
Okay.
So we take them together. We don't do blood work and ultrasound on the same day, though. We'll break up the
that has to be a lot with 2 of them. So do they?
Yeah.
They don't scan them at the same time, do they?
No, I mean, Lucas's appointment will be 8:30, and then Parker's will be like 8:40 or whatever. It takes a few minutes, right? So
right.
We take them in at the same time, but we just take my husband's parents with us, and they take one kid while we hold down the other one.
Oh my gosh! Do they have to be NPO for you guys over there?
No, I mean they try. The the technician tries to tell us that, but the doctors have said not to worry about it.
Yeah, that's what they just announced at the CHOP conference.
Yeah.
They were like, and I was like, thank you, Jesus, because that's
Yeah, because it's apparently just to do with their spleen. If you're looking at the spleen, that's when they need to fast.
yeah. I'm like, I can't. This child needs to eat.
No, actually, my boys are pretty good anyway. When they get up in the morning, they don't eat right away.
Wow.
And I was told by a pediatrician early on with Lucas to kind of just wait for him to tell me he's hungry, not to schedule meals per se. But Lucas also has to take his thyroid medication and then wait half an hour before he's allowed to eat.
Oh, okay.
So he's used to that part anyway. So
Okay, he adjusted.
yeah, yeah. And so Parker's just kind of gotten used to it because that's just the way Lucas does it. So
yeah.
yeah. But they end up now they end up fasting, but not really on purpose. And I just take snacks to the hospital, and we're only it's like a 30-second drive to our hospital. So
that's nice.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much again, and enjoy your boys. That's awesome.
Thanks.
And have a good night.